Hey, you guys, welcome back to the Arts to Hearts podcast. This is your host, Charika. How are you doing? Really, how are you? What are you feeling right now? Just check in with yourself. I want to remind you to, take care of yourself, who you are, what you're feeling, and if you need any kind of support, especially in your art practice, business, just always reach out to people you love, who support you. Reach out to us. We're always looking forward to cheer for you and just support you in any way that we can. And that's such a big intention of why I do what I do with Arts to Hearts and everything with this podcast. And today's episode is just, I am short of words. I think this is going to be one of the most loved episodes because that's how incredible this has been. I have had such a great time speaking to Emily, my beautiful friend, who's just so amazing. And she's helped me create this resource, which is again free for all. Anyone who's listening to this podcast today or in the future can have access to it for free. It's such a high value impacting episode. I think I just don't have words. It's that good. So basically, without, not making it too much, I think, and why not too much? Actually, yes, too much, because it is too much. It is so much. Emily really put so much hard work into her solo show, and she decided to come onto the podcast and actually help me create this resource where she spoke about how she did, how to host a solo show, the whole thing here in this episode. So if you're someone who is looking to host their own solo shows and are too afraid, want to hear someone else's experience, want to see how someone else has done, want to get tips, learnings, advices, anything and everything, this episode is it. It's so good. I spoke to Emily about how she hosted her Mind Blooms show in her three-section garage. It was such a fantastic show. I loved everything she did, and I wish I could see it in person. But I was so inspired of her, and I reached out to her I would love to have her on the podcast, speak about the Mind Bloom shows, how she did it, and she was so nice to agree to it. And I'm so happy because she was so transparent. It's a lot of, guys, I think it takes a huge heart to do that, because she spent months, almost near, to figure a lot of things out, years of her experience of selling on her own, and coming here and making this effort to share this with all of you. So even before you get into this episode, because I have no doubt this episode is going to be this is a gold mine. I'm telling you right here. Make sure you have your notebook ready. Make sure you make those notes, and make sure you tag Emily. Say her a big thank you. Let us know that you're doing, you're listening this, and let us know if it's, what did you like about it. And just I think the only way forward is to give her a shout out, support her work, and also let us know, because we would also like to know what you think about it. But I am so excited. So let's just go into this episode. Let's just not waste any more time. Before we get into this episode, I quickly want to remind you about our current call for art. The theme for this call is Pride, and we're so happy to have Haley Torres, who's an artist based out of US, Maryland, is curating this call for art for us. She is an artist from the LGBTQ+ community, and this call for art is open for women and artists from the LGBTQ+ community. The deadline to submit is 1st of August 2022, and we look forward to see what Pride basically means to you as women, as a queer women, as someone from the LGBTQ+ community. The submission for this call for art can be around topics of gender, sexuality, identity, and how we explore these themes and how we celebrate Pride in our own identity. as women, as someone from the LGBTQ plus community. We really look forward to curating this show. I think it's a very powerful theme, and we all have something really, really important to contribute to this. So, yeah, if you are interested to be a part of it, you can go and join us and submit on www.us2heartsproject.com/submit. Remember, the call for art ends on 1st of August 2022, and I always believe that it's great to submit as early as possible. It gives you an edge post like all other submissions, because a curator gets to spend some more time with your work and you're just well prepared. If you have any questions, please always feel free to reach out to us at Us to Us Project on Instagram, on our emails. We're always there to answer your queries. Again, we look forward to your submissions. You can submit on www.us2heartsproject.com/submit. The deadline is 1st of August, and this open call is open for women artists and LGBTQ artists from all over the world. So yeah, let's get back into this episode now. Hello, how are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you. But first, congratulations.
Thank you.
I was like, the day you showed your stories with the baby bump, I was like, wow.
I know. I kept it
That
a
was
secret.
such a secret.
I was so nervous about being pregnant and putting together the Mind Bloom show.
Yeah.
And yeah, I couldn't even think about it. I just had to focus on the show, and then, okay, I can be pregnant after the show is over.
But you were pregnant all the while.
Yeah.
All this while you were working. I mean, they've that been painstakingly sitting at one place, your back. Oh my God. And then hiding it away from everybody.
I know. I had to be sitting in all my videos because I just couldn't acknowledge it yet. And yeah, fortunately, I didn't have any sickness. If I was sick, there's no way I could have pulled off the show.
Yeah.
But I had extreme tiredness and exhaustion, but I just plowed through and got it done.
Oh God. How far are you, Ola?
I'm a little over 5 months right now. I'm 25 weeks.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I remember, again with Instagram and social media, there's so much that's happening. We keep scrolling, and I remember you being so consistent, with the vlogs. I loved that idea of you created those daily vlogs, teeny tiny, but I think so interesting as a viewer, as a consumer. It engaged me. I would every once in a while I would go to that link. I also subscribed whenever, even though I was multiple times on the list, but it just triggered me so many times. Then you did the course, then you did this wonderful, beautiful show that really inspired me. I think, oh God, that was just so beautiful. But first, a big congratulations for that too.
Thank you so much. Yeah, for the whole show and leading up to the show, I was trying to frame it for my audience in a way. I was trying to think of myself as someone in the audience and thinking what would be interesting for me as a viewer to see an artist doing. And so that's how I came up with the vlogs, because I personally hate emails and getting overwhelmed with everything you're sent every day. So I did the vlogs because I thought, well, if I was seeing behind the scenes work from an artist who I loved, I would read that email and open it up and look at it. So everything I did for the show was kind of through that lens of trying to feel put myself in the shoes of who my audience is.
I love that. Okay, tell me something. When you started, when did you think about this idea? I know you had you reworked your garage, and let's talk about the beginning of the beginning.
Mm-hmm. So for the concept of Mind Blooms, this was all new imagery that I was working on, and I really developed it. I had the first thoughts about it in July of last year, so almost a full year ago. And I was thinking about it, and I knew that the series was going to be very special to me on a personal level, and I didn't want to rush it, which is kind of the opposite of my personality, because I just love to have an idea and go make it reality. So I thought about it for a long time. I did the very first study in probably the fall, and visually, and I was like, okay, I like how this looks. And then I decided in January is when I was going to just fully dedicate my studio time to creating this collection. So I simmered on this much longer than what I usually do. And then I took from January to May, so about 5 months, to put the whole show together.
But did you intended this entire body work with like hosting this whole experience and the whole show, solo show that you did? Was it, or did you figure it like along the way? And what triggered you? I mean, I'm really interested in all
Yeah,
these questions.
so previously I launched my work just through my own website and through Instagram, and it's purely an online experience. Especially during the pandemic, that of course was really the only option. So
Yeah,
with this show, I felt like I finally could invite people into my space. And we have a 3-car detached garage from our house, which is very excessive. We don't need it. But we bought the house for the garage really because my husband and I really saw a vision to turn it into a gallery space and a gathering space. So the
yeah,
timing was right kind of in 2022 where we could have people over. It's still primarily an outdoor event because it's in a garage space, but people would be comfortable to
yeah,
come out. And so I thought, let's just really create this as a art experience, kind of the first one that I'm doing that's not just in a digital space. And
yeah,
not only did I want there to be physical art people could see, but I wanted there to be a lot of interaction with the art because
yeah,
that you can't do online like you can in
yeah,
person. So that was kind of the big vision. And I work really well with having a strong end goal because that kind of fuels
yeah.
my daily studio time. So yeah, that was always what I had in mind for showing the work.
Did you like, so when you started the, how, what happened first? Did you think up, did you come up with mind blooms and then you thought, oh my God, this could be something I could do like a solo show? Or you thought like, okay, now it's the time is right. Let's do whatever I do. Let this turn into this big thing.
Yeah, I think in the fall and like when I was first thinking about it, I felt like it was a very special concept. And so I knew it had the power to become something big. And so I just let my brain kind of cook on it and think about it. And then my thought was, I primarily saw my work just through myself. My thought was, can I put together an experience that's powerful enough that would bring interest from galleries or outside people who think, oh, if this is what she's putting together entirely on her own, she can fill a gallery or a showroom and, make a really powerful impact and really connect with the audience. So the show was to celebrate the collection and to celebrate the work, but also to kind of provide a foundation for my work as an artist on a professional level. And so that's why I had a videographer come and document the whole thing because it was really
Yeah,
important to document the experience
yeah.
and just capture that.
Like you documented a lot of things,
Yes.
like your process, like you made these beautiful videos, and like even with the show, that was how hard. I mean, it. What I really loved about this show, it wasn't just like you said, it was so well done, so well documented, and so well strategized. Also, like you just did not make the work. You really like you pull together all the pre, post, in between parts,
Mm-hmm.
like how to reach, how to engage, how they put it together. Like I wish I could have seen it in person, but even then, I was so happy to see it virtually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so again, like that's just kind of me thinking of what's the most interesting thing for my audience and how will they be most connected with the work. And I'm personally most connected with work when I see the artist's story and the behind the scenes. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty intentional to be revealing that through the whole process. And then my other, I guess, secret superpower is that I am not a perfectionist. So I'm not afraid to
Oh wow,
yeah, that, that
that's such a nice thing to
it
hear.
goes a long way. But it makes me, I'm not afraid to share my vlogs if they aren't perfect. I'm not afraid to be on Instagram stories if I haven't put my makeup on. And so having that,
Listen, first tell me, your Instagram stories are really spot on.
thanks.
Like, what do you use? You have to tell me. Like, what is that secret? Like, you look this like this beautiful light, and like you look the same and like flawless, and like I'm like, what camera? What is she using? You have to share that
It's my
secret now.
iPhone, iPhone
I have the
13.
same. Oh,
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
secret. But you also have like great light, I feel.
And my desk right here is in front of a window. And so I only shoot in
Okay.
natural light. I don't have to work at
That's the
night. I used
secret.
to have to work at night, but I work primarily during the day. And so natural light is like the best.
Like, even though, like, I'm not saying like you need to have the best of equipments for things, but like, it does, like, every time you come up on your shoot, like on your stories, and like I see, like, I think one thing I feel, I love the recall value. Like, I'm also talking as a brand person now. Like, I love the recall value because you look quite like your studio static, you're in one place. Like, I have that mind
Mm-hmm.
association. There's no distraction, and like there's perfect lighting, and I just feel like it was such, like, it's so well put, even though it does, you like, it's not so, like, you're not making that effort, but even in spite of that, it's so well put that it really puts focus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do try and keep what I share and where I share consistent, just so it feels like
Yeah.
if you're starting and stopping a movie or a TV show, that you're watching the same TV show.
Yeah.
So I am pretty consistent to shoot almost exclusively in my studio. And then if I happen to be in the yard, working with spray paint or something, then it's kind of like a little excursion trip. But I do try and keep
We've
it
seen that.
consistent, just so the
Yeah.
audience doesn't have to be like, okay, where is she again? What is she doing? But it's familiar.
Okay, tell me something. What triggered, like, I mean, you could again choose not to do all of this and just create a body of work and do it again through the way that you were doing before. What really brought you to the idea of hosting your own solo show?
I think it's because it was the easiest thing to do because I didn't need to be invited by a gallery. I didn't need to rent a space somewhere else. I had the physical space. So even though it's a lot of work, it was also the easiest and most accessible thing for me to do. And so I thought,
And also, I think you had a control. Like,
yes,
you had all the control.
I didn't need, permission to do any of the things that I wanted to do. And I was the person who was making all the decisions, which felt really good for the first time introducing a body of work because it's exactly what I wanted it to be. And it wasn't being influenced by someone else's, good intentions, even if they were, but it could change the course of how I wanted the work to be interpreted.
What were your innovations when you thought? Like, I think we all, as artists, have wandered around the idea. I've been thinking about it for so long. So like, you definitely inspired me. Like, I was like, when you did that, I was rooting for you, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing how you did it. And it looked so gorgeous. And I think it was such, I think I crave that experience more than, like, it's not the credibility of the show, or like, you want to do it, but just, the idea of experience, making an experience of your work for someone, and owning that experience, and see, even like experiencing our own work. I think we don't get to do that. Like, we just get to make the work sometimes, and like experience all parts of it, but the joy of like presenting it and like putting it together, the stories, the experience, all of that. But we all want that, but we all don't do that because there are a lot of things that hold us back. I know a lot of things that hold me back. Sometimes it's real life situations, sometimes it's our own thoughts, our imposter, negative beliefs. You've taken that plunge, you've gone that far. So, of course, I'm sure you must have those yourself. But what were those, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. People don't think I'm a negative thinker, but I'm always thinking of the worst case scenario.
Nice.
But I'm countering that and thinking, okay, if this is what's going to happen, how can I balance that or like be ahead of it? So I can definitely get inside my own head. And the show that I did had a lot of kind of abstract interactive elements. And I thought, is this too weird? Like, are people going to get it? And so it made me self-conscious because I was showing my art in a non-traditional way. And,
Yeah.
even sometimes art shown in a very traditional way, works on panel or on canvas, they can still be misinterpreted or people, just don't like them. And so taking my art off of the panels and making it a 3D experience people interacted with was a very vulnerable thing. And I remember even
Yeah.
the day of the show thinking, maybe I just won't show this. And then my husband, I'm so thankful for him. He's incredibly
Oh,
supportive.
I
Oh,
love his
I
cartoons. Oh
know.
God, I love where you live. I mean, this is like such a, oh God,
I do feel like we live in a little fairy tale town.
really? Oh
Yeah, where
wow.
we're,
I should pack my bags and come, I
yes,
think.
you should visit. Yeah, everyone loves Peter. He's a great person. But he was the one
Hmm.
who, and he's a great sounding board for me because he has very good taste in art, and he personally loves buying art and collecting art. So the fact that he was so confident in my work really helped me push through
Yeah.
my fears and made me accountable to actually follow through with it, because he was in on the planning. If it was just in my head, no one would have known the difference, but he was the one who was
Yeah.
there and was like, no, this is good, we need to be showing this.
But also like not just the fear of the work, but like it's it's a lot of responsibility. And it's even if like I think I don't know if that's just me or a lot of us. Like I am a perfectionist. Like I'm a recovering perfectionist, but that I just don't feel ever goes away. It's like it still stays in your head. Like when you think about like the thoughts that even if I make the good work, but solo show is just not about putting a work. Will I be able to call enough people? If would people like it? Um, will I even if you would the thoughts very very genuine and I'm not even discarding my feelings because we all feel that like also I think because it's also not so normalized, which it completely should be. I think there's so much beauty about artists owning their own solo shows. I think I've had a few. I just visited here recently, and I love that idea. I think more of us need to do that. But there's so much fear, like who will we invite? If people would come, will I sell? Will I not sell? Will they like? Will they not like? Am I too much? Is this too traditional? Like what were yours and how let's talk about what were yours and then how did you deal with them and how that panned out.
Yeah, I definitely had fears that not a single piece would sell. And I had fears that no one would show up. But I think part of what really helped me is that I chose to only create work, this whole Mind Blooms concept. I only chose to create it because it was so personal to me and because it was so special. And I think when you are able to be in that mindset and creating work that you just have to create, that kind of, I don't want to say it doesn't matter if your work doesn't sell, because of course you want it to sell, but it becomes more
Yeah.
value. There's more value in the artwork than
Yeah.
just in the sales. And so I remember thinking, if stuff doesn't sell, like I will happily have this in my home because I love it so much and it's so personal to me. And so that was how I balanced the fears of not selling and then the fear of no one showing up. There's definitely that fear of, throwing a party and no one comes, of course. But
Yeah.
to me, it was more of, I have at least my solid, 10 friends who will be there because they want to be supporting the show and they believe in my
Support.
work. And I thought to myself, if this is nothing more than just a party with my friends,
Then it's no
that's
fear.
still a celebration, and
Yes,
it
I love that
is
thought.
still like crossing the finish line of completing the show. And I have the most important people there celebrating with me. And so that just kind of, even if it was true that no one would show up, I knew that I had a group of people who wanted to celebrate this show with me. And
I
so
love
having
that
that
thought.
truth along with the fear, I think is what, can keep you going and pushing through to just see it to the end.
I love that. Okay, let's go over your planning part. Like, and you did not only put up works, like you experimented a lot. I loved your installation of the sculptures. Then you did that flip book. Then you did like, oh my god, I can't even recall so many things you did. Like, then you did that projector thing also. And all of this I've seen only virtually. I haven't really experienced it, so I've missed something. But that's how I'm compensating today. So you did like you really did experiment and you I think I felt like I could see that you really let yourself fly and do like just not okay it would I think it's always safe for us to do things that are done a certain way, and we know, okay, this is how it works. But to go beyond a certain line and then experiment and put in the hard work, and knowing that it may not even come out the way we expect it to be. And then you did the bar cocktails and like the counter, the installation, and then you did the videos, and then you also did the like the vlogs, and like it was a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
Yes.
Can you take us through like this whole journey?
Yes. So,
Also for someone who's also looking for starting their like, I think it'll be an actionable tip also for someone who wants to do their own solo shows, how they can plan better or push themselves.
sure. So, in the very beginning, I established how many pieces of fine art, works on panel, I wanted to create, because that's really the artwork that people can purchase and take home and keep a part of the show. And then just from a like financial planning aspect, I needed to create works that would sell. So that was the core of the show. And those pieces also carried the theme of the show. So even if nothing else happened, those works on panel were the most important. And so I
Yeah.
prioritized them so that the show could be built off of that foundation. So once I had,
I'm taking notes for myself also.
yes. So once I had those works done, and I made those throughout the entire process, but I completed the core amount in the very beginning so I wouldn't distract myself, with all of the fun extras. I had those done in the beginning. And I also used
Okay.
the weekly vlogs as a tool to keep myself accountable, because I wanted to show up every week and give my email subscribers an exclusive vlog of me creating the show. And so it was,
But did you talk about the vlogs? I remember seeing a bits of it, but I don't remember you talking about a show in those vlogs. But did you eventually
yeah,
like,
I think in the very first one, maybe I shared that these vlogs were working towards a show in my garage, and it was every week was going to capture what I was doing. So in order to put out those vlogs, I had to actually be working in my studio to have the content for the vlog.
yes,
So
it's
it was good
absolutely. And
accountability.
all this while you were pregnant.
Yes, exactly.
Just putting it out
Yes.
there.
So, which was I'm at first I was like, oh my gosh, why did I say I would make these vlogs? Because I wasn't planning on being pregnant. And I'm like, how can I do this? But it pushed me to stay in the studio, even if it wasn't long
Yeah.
days, just a little bit. And then it was great encouragement for me, because at the end of the week, I put my footage together and I thought, even if I had a bad week and I had to go to bed early and take naps, I could see, wow, I
You did
still did
something.
stuff. Even though I was tired or I couldn't work as much as I want, I still was able to put stuff together. And so it became really encouraging for me to look at every single Friday. So that's how the vlogs were like accountability and encouragement for myself through this whole process. And then, as far as all of the interactive stuff between the flip books and the sculptural concrete things, a huge part of my studio practice is I just love experimenting, and I love
Fermenting.
not knowing what's going to happen and how things are going to work
Yeah.
out. Because once I figure something out, I tend to get a little bored with it. But
Yeah.
I,
I get you.
yeah. So the experimentation is really what gave me energy to keep going back into the studio. And so for a while, it was a whole phase of concrete and cement experimentation. And how can I make these garden sculptures to go along with the garden theme of the whole show? And then a part of my practice is I make stop motion videos that I post on Instagram. And
Yeah.
those are really just, I kind of feel like I'm getting away with something when I do those, because I can't sell I mean, I guess I could make an
Yeah.
NFT, but I like,
Yeah. Yeah.
people can't really hold on to those in the same way they can hold on to a piece of art. But I love making them because they're so playful, and I think they give more life and meaning to my art. And so I was thinking maybe I show videos at the show. And then I recalled flip books, which, I made those as a kid. I thought, oh, these are perfect for flip books. So I just printed them
Oh
all out
wow.
and put together some flip books. And that was one of the most favorite parts of the show people had, was being able to physically pick up my stop motion video and
Yeah.
flip through it with their hands. Was just a whole nother level of interacting with fine art that you can't do by just viewing it on a wall.
Oh wow. So I'm writing next experimental ideas that I'm going to add all of this in the show notes. Experimenting in the studio to keep you going.
Yes, keeping it fun. But I did all my hard work first of all the works on panel because I could have just experimented the entire time and distracted
I
myself.
remember I remember you doing the sculpture and sharing it on Instagram. You were like, I don't know what's this happening. I think you also had like you put it out there and something happened and like, oh my God, this is a mess.
Yes.
But then you were like, a few days later, you came on your stories and like, I kind of think I really like what happened with this one. And I think I remember that.
Yeah, and that's part of the not being a perfectionist. I'm okay sharing my mistakes because I
Yeah.
find so much excitement in exploring and figuring stuff out that I want my audience to have that same type of excitement, vicariously by watching these videos and wondering like what's going to work, what's going to happen. And they feel like they are a part of the process too.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it did really. Like, I was connecting the dots all this while. Oh, yeah, that's how this came here. And, I remember like when I was seeing you had that mask and like you were spraying and all of that. And then when we had, like, your virtual, like when we saw the show actually, like, oh my God, I didn't think of this. I didn't think how she would place this. Like, we were only seeing one of the pieces, but when you actually installed, you put them together, and like as a viewer, it only keeps you engaged. Like, oh, that's how. Oh, yeah, it could. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that really interests me as a viewer, at least.
Yeah, it was interesting for me too because I've just been showing my work online and I knew all the work would be displayed together. But when it's digital, it doesn't really matter, what the size of things are and
Sizes, like,
you can just put it all together in one post or divide it up very easily and do it every way you want to and it's just more content.
yeah,
But putting it in person, I was like, "Oh my goodness. Okay, this actually has to work like on a wall that you see in person." And so it
yeah.
was great to see it come together and be like, okay, exercising different parts of my brain to make the in-person experience just as exciting and better, hopefully, than an online experience.
Yeah. Then what? What else did you do?
So one of the parts of the show I don't think we mentioned yet was I had an interactive portion where there
Yes.
was so let me just back up a little bit. We have the 3-car garage out back. So the first
Okay.
garage, I had it divided. So that was a garage full of all moving art. And all the garages, I should say, they were painted white on the interiors. We installed track lighting, so it kind of had more of a gallery feel. Like there wasn't a
Yeah.
lawnmower inside of the garage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all 3 bays were open, and the first one was all moving art. So that one had all of the flip books. I had a stop motion video projected in there. And then I had a crank box made, which is basically it was a concrete box that works like a stop motion video or a flip book, but you crank it with this crank on the
Yeah.
side of the box. So there was
Yeah.
all moving art in there. And then the center garage, I wanted there to be an interactive portion. So part of my process is I do silk screens to create the flower hair. I
Yeah.
draw all the flowers and then I burn them into screens and then print them. And so in that process, you use transparencies. So I had all these flower transparencies and I was like, how can I repurpose these so that it's something that lives past just the manual process of making the screens? And I
Screens.
was like, these could go on an overhead projector. And then I thought, what if I was able to create an experience where people walked in, picked the flowers they wanted, placed them on the projector, and then created their own portrait of flower hair where you could stand in front of the light that was cast.
Front of them.
And then they
Oh,
became
wow.
actually a part of the work. And I had this huge antique frame hung on the wall. And so people would sit in a chair, the flowers would be cast on their heads and around them, and then they could take pictures of their portraits that were made. So that was the middle garage that was entirely interactive. And that was really fun because
Wow.
that was the one I was nervous about because I'm like, this might be too weird. Like people might not want to do this. But that was another thing that everyone loved, being able to interact with the art themselves and then take a souvenir picture of how their own
Yes.
portrait turned out. Yeah, and then the final garage, that was where all the fine art was hung and some of the more sculptural stuff.
Oh wow. So you were okay. So this is the planning of your work. Um, how hard was it for you to do it? Like I'm sure you had Peter with you, and he's creative himself. You experimented a lot. Like I'm sure these were not. You had to figure out a lot. Like we still know how to make the work. We could figure out the post and like the show part, but you also pushed yourself ahead and then did these experiments. And then how was that for you? Like how hard was that? Figuring things like especially these experimental ideas.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, the experiments and all of that, the risk is it doesn't work out, which,
Yeah.
can sound like a big deal. But I had the core of what I knew I needed, the works on panel, which was the major part of
Yeah.
the show. I knew I had that under control and I did that first. And so,
Yeah.
like the concrete pieces, for example, some of them didn't work out. And I thought, okay, I won't show those. And that's like the worst thing that could happen, especially
That
because
happened.
I wasn't promising a gallery that I could put together, all these different concrete things.
Yeah.
I had that goal for myself, but I wasn't letting anyone outside down. And so
Yeah.
that was helpful. And, you know, again, if the flip books didn't work out, okay, I don't show them, and maybe we just use 2 garages, and that's okay. And I think part of the like having that leniency with yourself of here's the goal, let's try and shoot for it,
Yeah.
and if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But also with that, here's the goal, and I can exceed that goal, and I can, once I start experimenting, it can go even better. And so I think it's being open to letting things go that don't work out and then embracing what ends up working out, which is kind of the whole
I'm seeing all
concept.
the advantages of I'm seeing all the advantages of not being a perfectionist.
It's so
Oh
good.
my god. Like this head of ours, like sometimes, oh god, I'm like, why can't you just shut up?
Yes. And what's funny is that whole
Amazing.
concept of, being free to let go of what doesn't work and freely embracing what does work. That's really the whole concept of the Mind Blooms, the artwork, because it's about
Yeah.
like nurturing and growing what does work and not forcing things to grow that aren't growing. Like if that's not what you should be
Yeah.
doing, like just being free to let that go. And then once you actually nurture what you can create and who you are, that's when it's like, whoa, this is amazing, because you can't really predict that type of an outcome. If you just like invest where you know it's working, that's when really exciting stuff happens.
Amazing. Okay. Then what's the next part? Then let's say you did like how much of pre-planning did you do for like you were making all of these works? Um, did you need to do more pre-planning when it came to placing these work and installing, or did you just figure it when you were doing it?
Yeah, so fortunately, I had a professional videographer come to document the entire show, and he was there.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that was
We need your
great.
tips.
That was really great. And he's someone who, fortunately, I had worked with professionally. I had styled a bunch of shoots for him, and so we work well together and really trust each other. And he's just great at capturing a vision. Bud Heyman, he's my guy. So he came 2 weeks before the show opening,
Okay.
which made me nervous
Okay.
because I thought I might not have enough time to make all the work I want to make. But having that deadline pushed up really helped me, because then the 2 weeks leading up to the show, I could make the minor adjustments that I thought, okay, this was okay on camera because we could kind of like fake the layout, but in person, it needs to be altered a little bit. And then it gave me time to do.
So when you recorded, if someone who's doing a solo show, I really like the idea of how your videos were just not the installation, but your process and different stages.
Mhm.
So how do you like even and being on budget is a big thing for all of us when we're doing things on our own
Mhm.
because we only have so much. And hiring someone, bringing someone else
Sure.
to it all comes with a lot of pre-planning and clarity of how you want to do certain things. So how did you make it show like how did you make sure that your video has parts of both, and what is the right time and how many times should you bring a videographer and all of that?
So my recommendation for bringing on a photographer or videographer. I mean, photography is kind of, it's important to document your work all the time because if it sells, you do not have that opportunity to document it anymore. But for something special like a videographer, my advice to artists is, okay, why do you want the video? Like, why do you want the video? For me, I wanted the video so that I could be showing that to galleries and saying, this is the experience I can create. And I wanted the video to be, if someone has never seen my work before, let's educate them a little bit of who I am and how I make, and then let's show them the full experience. So it's kind of a complete story. And so I had a very specific reason why I wanted this video. And then how are you going to share it? How are you going to use this video? So why and how. So I knew my why. And then how is, okay, this has to be on my website for sure. I can be putting this out on Instagram. I can be putting it on YouTube. And so having a plan of like, why do you want this? Why is it important? Yeah. And then how are you going to use it? Because sometimes you can invest a lot into a video or photography and then have no plan of how you want to share it or even why you want to share it, because you're like, for photography, you're given a whole file folder of images. You're like, what do I do with this? So having that like understanding of why you want it and then how you're going to use it is really crucial, because you could just spend, endless money and time, because it takes a lot of time to do that stuff. And it may not be the wisest thing for you to do. So that's my advice with that.
So how did you break it for yourself? How many times did you bring in your photographer?
He just came one day, and it was probably a half day of shooting. But beforehand, I had the entire set up. So he wasn't really there for any of that. And because I do have a background in styling for video shoots and photo shoots, I had a vision of, okay, here's the key elements to what we have to capture. But again, because I'm not a perfectionist, it's that balance of here's the essentials, but then let's see what happens on set, because some really organic and beautiful things can come out of that. And you also have to know your videographer and photographer as well, because some people will not like that freedom. My friend Bud, who's my videographer, he loves having creative freedom and like, oh, this is awesome. Maybe we could shoot it this way. Like at one point he had a ladder and was up in the rafters of the garage because he wanted the specific angle. And he was really passionate about capturing the my process of creating, which I was kind of less passionate about, but I'm so glad that he really pushed that end, because it tells the more complete story of who I am and how this all came together, especially for people who don't know my work. It's very important.
Okay. So then you documented like a preview of your process, and you also called in a videographer on the day that you installed?
He came...
Like your actual day?
Yeah. I think I installed on a Friday, and he came on Monday and shot the whole thing.
Yeah. So 2 days, like your process and your final installation. So that's anyone you want to show this project to can have high idea of both how to do it, how you did it, how it would look like.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. And so
then next.
Yeah. So then after all the videos were done, the show was up. And so I didn't have to do a whole lot of work setting up the show the day of. But there was details like gallery cards for all of the pieces. And I do a QR code system where I have all of the pieces. They're listed for sale on my website. That way I don't risk someone buying online and then buying in person, and there's like 2 people bought the piece. So
basically when you install your piece, anyone scans a QR code and directly buys it online?
Yeah. Yep. It all just goes right through my website. And like, fortunately, it was a great day for sales, because I actually launched the collection for sale on a Thursday night to my email subscribers. Then I made the collection live for everybody on a Friday. And then the show was Saturday. So most of the pieces had actually...
Oh, the show was post.
Yeah. So most of the pieces
wow, that's a different idea.
Yeah, they mostly sold before the in-person show, which was... I mean, that's what everyone wants, right? Best case scenario.
Yeah.
So, but it also, I mean, that process too gave me 3 different talking points as far as in terms of sales. If you're an artist, like having those reasons to be going
Yeah,
out. So one is, this is email subscribers only. Two, this is for everybody. Three, this is the in-person
in
experience.
person.
Yeah. So it's helpful when you give
Okay,
yourself those talking points of like when your art's
I love this
available and
advice.
all
I
of
think,
that.
yeah. And then I think with this, what I really felt when you're saying this is that we sometimes, like, if you only have one point of sale or like something, like you have one reason, let's say, okay, I did this, let's say I released a collection, now what? If it's a lot of time, it's like, I feel like gaining momentum takes time and we all begin somewhere. So anyone who, um, or even taking a leap or anything like that, like giving yourself another reason, even tricking your mind, like, oh, I need to reach out to my audience now because this was for email subscribers. Now I want to remind them this is for, like, continuously trying to reach out to them. And when you make it in tiers and special, like your mind doesn't mess with you, like,
Mm-hmm.
with this whole imposter thing that
Yeah, yeah, because it's hard to keep showing up and saying the same exact thing. So if you can
yes.
say the same end goal a couple different ways, it makes it easier for you because you're communicating it slightly differently.
Hmm. Okay. What about the part of, let's say, anyone who's doing a social, like a solo show? The biggest fear is bringing people. Do you have any ideas that you want to share? What worked for you? What didn't work for you when it came to collecting people?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are intimidated with having, like, to talk about their work within their in their person. And like, I think the difference between gallery owned and your own is like, you still have someone as a gallery who's taking care of everything, but when you're an artist solo show, you are the point of sale, you are the one who's talking about the work, talking, like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of you and a lot of responsibility on you.
Yeah, yeah. So fortunately, I kind of know how my audience buys, and I know
It,
that they usually buy as soon as I release the collection. So I had a feeling that most of the sales would happen before the show, which
okay.
was helpful because I wasn't trying to handle transactions and be chatting at the same time. So I think if you
Yeah.
have sold work before and understanding how people like to buy, you can apply that information to your own experience. And as far as getting people to the show, I was kind of like, I don't want to say funny about it, but I'm giving out my personal address. So I did not want that on the internet.
Oh, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So what did I do? I had mini business cards created, like the little half size. I had those
Okay.
printed, and one side it just said Mind Blooms, on the other side it said my address with the date and time. And so I gave those personally to any friends so that they would
Okay.
have the information. That was one method. And then I don't really use like the close friends portion of Instagram stories, except for when I'm doing an in-person show like this. And so I had a very select amount of people who I'm comfortable having my address. And on the close friends portion of Instagram stories, I gave them the specific information. And I believe to my email subscribers, I just said, if you're interested in coming, just contact me, and I can give you the information. So I know
Yeah.
who was
Who's
requesting my
getting there?
information. Yeah, so I was very
Yeah,
controlled
that's important.
about that. And, my 3-car garage sounds huge, but garages are kind of small when you have more than like 10 people in there. So it
Yeah.
always felt kind of full, even if there wasn't a ton of people there. And I
Yeah.
kind of prefer, I'm truly an introvert. Like I do not love I do
Having
not
to,
love big
I think,
parties.
anyways, too many people. Yeah, I know.
So
I love small, intimate gatherings. I think,
yeah. So for me, having, it at the most there was probably 20 people there at one time. The show was over the course of like I think it was like 5 hours. So having that open time frame allowed for smaller groups of people to gather, which I would prefer that, because when it's a huge crowd, then I just feel like I can get lost in the crowd and want to go inside.
I agree.
I'll be in my house. You
Okay.
guys stay in the garage.
I have the liberty. I have the
Yeah.
privilege. Okay, and okay, another question is, like, you said you knew that you would be able to sell a lot of your work, the moment you release your collection, and like online, something which a lot of people still struggle with. And I don't want to say still, like we all come through that path, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. What are your best tricks when someone's like doing this whole digital, like physical and digital, and sometimes even doing digital releases? What are your tips on making sure that you're doing what you can to pull in customers, make more sales and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. So, what I think is important is to be willing to try a lot of things, because my specific, how I now conduct my sales online, I have I have several years of information of what has worked and what has not worked. And when something doesn't work, I think it's important to, instead of blocking it out and shutting it down, identifying what was different about this sale and why did it not work,
Yeah,
because it might not be the artwork, it might be that you tried to release something on Small Business Saturday, which sounds like a great idea in November because it's a huge buying time. But you also have to realize that tons of other people are also
a lot of
releasing on
competition.
Small Business Saturday. And so that was a lesson I learned, where I did not sell as many as I probably could have when I released the collection several years ago on Small Business Saturday. And I thought, well, every other maker and small business owner is doing the exact same thing. And so there's a ton of distraction and people have to choose what they want to buy. So that was information that I took. Okay, releasing on those type of national days or near holidays, it's not the best time to do that. And so for me,
I love that.
I thought, okay, I'm not going to do that again. And I've also learned that typically for me, the day of the week is very important. So Fridays are for sure my best day to release a collection. And so I only release work on
Do it
Fridays.
in.
Yeah, because I've tried other days of the week and it's not the same. So that could differ for your audience, though, depending on
Yeah,
who you're selling to
very
and
well.
what you're doing. And so this, I was nervous about doing. I had my email subscribers. This was the first time they had early access Thursday evening, and I thought it made me nervous because it wasn't a Friday. And so
Friday.
yeah, it did end up working, because the people who were really wanting pieces, they were able to get what they wanted because I felt, I don't know if you feel like this, but sometimes I feel bad, like if two people want the same piece. So I'm like, okay, at least I'm giving you early access. And then I
Yeah.
did my normal release on Friday. So when something good happens with a sale, like list out everything, all the reasons why you think it was good. Was it a Friday? Was it, not near a holiday?
Oh, love that
Like,
advice.
why did this work out? And I think it's important to, it's not only when you release it what happens, but what did you do before the sale? And, maybe one time you shared a lot more on your stories, or you posted every day leading up to the sale. And if you saw a boost in sales, make a mental note of that. And so, it's time consuming and tedious to continually be, okay, let's do this as a test round and see what happens. But having several years of releasing small collections and just objectively observing the information and trying not to take it personally has
Yeah,
given me the information how I can have my best sale.
I love that idea. What else do you want to share? What what was your biggest learning all of this?
Hmm. I think I learned that vlogs are very good for me. Doing the
I
vlogs,
think I really love that idea.
yeah.
I'll agree.
And they were helpful for me and they were helpful for my audience. And if you can nail down from something from your studio practice that is helpful for you and your audience, that's
That's
gold.
great.
That's gold, because that's what's going to
But how do
be
you
sustainable.
but how do you make it like a lot of people? Like even sometimes like I bought a camera, and then for the past a lot of months I've been in between. So for me it's a very tricky situation. But a lot of times people who even have like a place, like having setting up the camera, the recording, like all of that feels like a struggle. So how do you record? How do you make it like, and then doing it weekly or daily, like it's a huge task. Like going uploading, then videos are not the easiest to upload and they take forever. But I noticed with your vlogs, so they were tiny. They weren't
Mm-hmm.
like super huge. So it wasn't in not so time consuming for me. And then also I'm sure more practical for you to work around. What are your tips on
Yeah,
that?
exactly. I mean, that was another thing, whereas I was experimenting of, this week is going to be a long form vlog. This week is going to be a 1 minute vlog.
Sure.
And that was another testing thing I was doing, and not taking the information personally if someone didn't want to watch a 7 minute video of me, because I wouldn't want to watch
Yeah.
that. So it was doing that testing of what works best. And so I think short is the answer, which I
Work
think we
better.
kind of all know, but having a video that is 1 minute, what's tricky is being able to tell a full
It has
story
to be.
in that 1 minute that's
Yes, I
actually
know.
what you want to watch. So, and that's fine tuning of, you know, what's best for your process. But I would say a 1 minute vlog and having a clear beginning and a clear end is important, so that it feels like someone has watched something to start to finish, and they feel like
Yeah.
they've seen a process come together, or they've learned something. The middle, I just have choppy process of whatever I
Yeah.
happen to capture. But having a clear, whether it's showing your blank canvas at the beginning and then showing the finished piece at the end,
Something you made.
yeah, just have a clear
Progress.
bookends to the video. And
Yeah.
again,
And
don't
were
be a
you recording with your
perfectionist.
phone?
Yeah, it's all with my
Oh,
phone.
I wish.
Don't be a
Wow.
perfectionist. That's the
I
number
think
one.
you I think your phone has paid off a lot of
Oh, it's worth every
work for
penny.
you. Because I think even with I all this while I thought you were shooting on a camera
No.
because the quality was so good.
And that's what makes it so easy, is because I don't have a big setup. This is what I do. I'm working. Ooh, that looks interesting. I take a quick video and then I go back to working. And then if there's
Yeah.
ever something interesting visually to me, I just take a video, and it's probably 5 seconds. And
Yeah.
this is a good tip too, don't film your whole studio process,
Yeah.
because then you got to edit all that content
A lot of
and
footage.
rewatch it. And I don't want to do that, and I don't really have time to do that. So just taking those 5 second clips it'll make your
Makes
life way
such a great
easier.
advice.
Yeah.
And where were you hosting these videos? What website platform are you using, if anyone, or you know, I remember you sending those in links in an email.
Mm-hmm.
I think you also use Squarespace. I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean, you gave away all
you
of them.
guessed right. So I put my videos on YouTube because it wasn't important to me that they were private or exclusive, and I feel like YouTube is a platform that I need to be investing more time on. So I thought, okay, this is an easy solution. I will put them on YouTube. They'll be hosted there. And then with my Squarespace site, I can put the link into my
To
vlog
the
format.
YouTube.
And yeah, it'll play it through my website. It'll play it on YouTube through my website, so that people kind of have a cohesive branding experience by staying on my site.
Yeah, and later on, even if you want to expand on your YouTube and then redirect more people, even if that builds up for you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. So this was your post. Any other tips that can break or make when people are doing things on their own? Like anything else that you feel is important that I haven't asked?
So something that I think is
101. How to own your show
yeah,
101 with Emily Murray.
what was
I
very
love this. I can't tell you how much I love this episode
oh
right
good,
now.
I'm so glad. I think it's very important to tell your audience what you're doing. If I hadn't told my
Yeah.
audience in January, I am working towards a show in May, people would watch me create content, maybe hopefully stay engaged, but not really know why I was doing everything. But because I had told people I am doing a show in May, and then every time I posted about the show or about the work I was making, I would somehow include, this is for the Mind Bloom show in May, so that everyone
Yeah.
knew exactly what was happening. And as it got closer, people would be more excited. And maybe people didn't join in and really check out my stuff until April. But the several people who had been tracking this whole process since January they felt very invested and
Very.
excited about it
I'm
for
there.
me.
I'm on the
Yeah,
list.
exactly. It's much more interesting. So just telling people, this is what I'm doing, here's where I'm going. And again, it's kind of like the vlogs, like having those bookends of this is where I'm starting, this is where I'm ending.
This is where it'll end.
Yeah, it's just easier for people to follow what you're doing. And I know it can sound redundant to say, this is for the Mind Bloom show and may yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, that feels boring to me, but not everyone's reading every
No.
post.
Yeah.
And even if they are, it's constantly reinforcing your end goal and makes the whole process that much more exciting.
I agree. And all this while you were doing the videos, what did you do with Instagram? Were you showing sneak peek? I remember you were showing all everything all this while.
Yes.
What was your thought behind? Because I think I've seen two different patterns a lot of time. Like, and there's no right and wrong. I think where we are in a headspace is all that matters the most. Like a lot of times, who feel they're doing a show and it takes like they need to separate themselves. They get off social media, get off everything, and a lot of people just keep sharing and building and keep sharing and building like you did.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what were you doing with social media that helped you pull this off?
Yeah. So I think it's important, again, to just know yourself specifically. And if you know that showing behind the scenes is going to really stress you out and make you upset, especially if you have to scratch stuff, then I would say
Yeah,
don't use that as a tool and really identify what you want to share and what you don't want to share. For me, I'm very comfortable sharing my process. And if I scrap something, I'm very comfortable saying that. And
claiming that.
I like doing that. That's how I enjoy observing other people, but it makes me, not having to show up perfect is what keeps me sharing and keeping me
Yeah,
authentic. And I don't have
right.
to like wait and wait and wait to share something. And it keeps me
Yeah,
fluid and it keeps me accountable, because if I know I've been consistently sharing my whole process, I have people who are excited to see that. And so it keeps me accountable in my studio. So I kind of treated Instagram as an accountability partner. And I
I love that
shared
idea.
my work. I never share anything that I'm not, comfortable sharing with. That's not healthy.
Yeah,
But I use it as a tool for accountability to show up in my studio. And then how I kept it separate from my vlogs is that on the vlogs, I kind of gave a little bit more of a look into my process, and all of the footage was different. So, and that was easy to keep separate because Instagram stories, it's all vertical and reels are all
yeah,
vertical. But for YouTube, the
yeah.
horizontal format works. So
Format.
it had to be different footage for that reason too. But that way people weren't seeing the same thing
Same thing.
twice.
Yeah,
Yeah. And so something that a learning from that whole vlog experience is my audience for the vlog was, of course, much smaller because I just started it. So I did feel
yeah,
like it wasn't, I had less views on the footage that I saved and kept special. So I had to figure out, okay, what do I share on Instagram? Because I want the most people to see it, of course. And then what do I keep
yeah,
separate that's just for the vlog? And so that's something that I'm still trying to think about. What do I do in the future so that I'm not creating a ton of work for myself, but still
yes.
giving value to the people who are actually willing to go through my emails, go to the vlog, and watch it separately. So that's something that I'm still playing around with as far as perfecting for myself and for my audience.
Oh my God, this is like a whole new learning experience. Like I feel like I've learned so much from you in this past hour. Oh my God, I'm telling you, anyone who's listening to this episode, guys, please, please make sure that you give Emily a huge shout out. Say a thank you to her because um, I'm telling you, like this information is worth so much to you. It's a lot of service for you to even share and share your learnings. You're saving so many people a lot of time, energy, and mistakes. And anyone who's listening, please make sure you share this episode, you follow Emily, tag her, tag us, and let us know that you're listening. And make sure you say her a big thank you.
You're so kind. Thank you, Taruka.
I am so proud of you. I seriously, I really enjoyed the entire process, and I think a lot of times, even because in that process, like in the past 1 year, my whole work, like I've struggled a lot when it came to my own practice because first I wasn't in the mind space, then I've been struggling with location, with having my life all over the place, and and every time I would see you, and I like when you have this vision, like you see someone and like, okay, this is I will go through these hard times so that I can come here, I can do this. So, and also I think it makes me so happy to see someone I love and adore, send that, share that energy. It's because you take us on a journey, and I felt like I was on that journey with you. And when I saw, um I even with the artist of
Hmm.
Phoenixville, I think you've been doing such amazing work. Do you also want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, Artists of Phoenixville, that's the town I live in, is Phoenixville. And I built this platform on Instagram as a way to be a live reflection of all the art that was happening in this town. Because I knew there were so many artists living here, and I didn't want it to go undocumented, and I didn't want us to not know each other. So I
Yes,
selfishly
such a
created
big
this
cost.
platform because I thought, I had the idea of, wow, I wish someone would, be sharing about all the art happening in this town. And I was like, well, might as well be me. So I started this on Instagram, and it's basically just a way to document every artist that is in this town creating. And it has developed into a much bigger community than I even had first visualized. I thought there may be like 20 people I personally knew, but it has grown
Oh
far more
wow.
than that. And then last year, I did launch a magazine for the community that's
Yes.
documenting everybody, what they're creating, and kind of gives some more in depth interviews about specific artists. So that's just a little side platform that I have that has been really fun to build and, just recognize other artists and encourage them. Like that
Yeah,
is equally satisfying
I
as
love that.
just even documenting the artwork. But yeah,
That
caring for
is,
people as individuals has been really rewarding.
I love your soul. I love everything that you do. I just can't even tell you how proud I am of you. And you have not put out there yet. Anybody who doesn't know, Emily also has another job, which is of being a mother.
Yes, that one is in the works,
So,
cooking, cooking as we speak.
so yeah, I mean, it's like you being pregnant all this while, taking challenges like these, wearing several hats. Believe me, it's just given me so much encouragement right now. Like sometimes you're in your own struggles and feel like, oh, I have this going on, that going on. How do I push through this fear or all of that? And sometimes you just need someone else to show you, listen, I did this. If I can do this, so can you.
Hmm. Yeah, something else I would
I
like to
love
share
that.
is everything that
Yes.
I've been doing, like with the Artists of Phoenixville platform or even my own art practice. I try and figure out the most sustainable thing in the beginning
Yeah.
so that if it can grow and expand and become something more amazing, but if I'm in a position where I can't invest as much time, that it can still keep going.
Be,
And so yeah, that's something I do with Artists of Phoenixville, where it's I'm primarily reposting other people's work, and so that takes off a lot of time of my plate because I'm not creating any new content. And then with my own
yeah.
artwork, I've intentionally kept how I share about it very simple and imperfect so that, as I have a baby in the future, I'm not feeling ashamed if I don't have perfect videos anymore, because they were never the perfect
Yeah.
videos. So just identifying, what is a meaningful way for you to be sharing and investing in your community, but what's the sustainable version of that too.
I love that. Oh my God. Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm so grateful for our conversation and for your heart. Thank you so much for doing this. I am I just can't wait to see all the amazing things that you're going to do forward, because I know, and I'm going to bring you back so many more times
Yay.
because there's so much that we need to learn from you.
I would love to be back. This has been so much fun, and it's so much fun to
Uh,
talk with you.
Same here, same here. Okay, but tell me something. Um, where you are right now, where I know that this is your fifth month and you're expecting a change in your life, a new member. Apart from this project, anything else that's been cooking that you want to talk about, share with us?
Why, yes.
Oh
So,
my God, another yes.
yes. So, part of my videos that I'm filming this summer, I am planning on launching 2 courses in August.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
I know
wow.
I'm really squeezing everything in right before the baby. But the first course is called Creating Collections. And this is basically my process for creating collections and how that makes your work stronger and how it's also easier for you to be selling your work. So that will be a several week course that I'm putting together right now that will be in August. And then the second course I'm launching will be called Words That Sell. And I don't know if you know this, but part of my background is I used to design product. I designed dinnerware and bakeware that was sold on a shopping channel. And so everything I designed was basically designed with the intention to be sold live on television. And there's all sorts of strategies involved with that and how you do that that's the most efficient and different words that you can be incorporating around whatever you are selling. And so I've applied a lot of that knowledge to how I sell my artwork. And at first I didn't think I did that, but then one of my friends was like, no, there's something happening. Like there's something going on why your work is selling. And so I've put together a whole guide of what you can be saying before your studio sale, during your studio sale, and then after your studio sale. So, and you can apply it all to whatever you are making. And it's a whole guidebook basically that I can't wait for artists to get their hands on.
Goodness, I can't wait to get my hands on it. You have to let me know when this up.
Yes.
We will shout on top of our voices to make sure this reaches as many people as possible.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I am so proud of you and thank you so much for doing all the amazing work that you're doing. Okay, last thing. Where anyone who's listening to you, let me know where you can find, like where people can find you, share your platforms, website, and also can we get more information on the show, more pictures and videos that you can, so that we can actually give people an experience and redirect to your website, but also share like bits of what we've spoken about on the show notes.
Yeah, of course. So I'm most active on Instagram, Emily Mullet, just my name. And then my website is also Emily Mullet, so pretty easy to remember. And on my website, I have a page that's titled Gallery. And if you click on Mind Blooms, you will have access to tons of pictures, the video, and then I've written in detail what the whole collection was actually about so you can understand the meaning behind all of the intention I put into it.
I'm going to link all of that, spend more time on your website at night because I'm so inspired. And thank you so, so much. I know you should take some rest now.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. I know this was an incredible episode. This is one of my favorite episodes that we've put out there. So a big thank you to Emily and for everyone who's listened. Please help us by leaving us review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to this podcast, to help us make more resources and episodes like these. Share it on your stories, tag us, leave us a review, share it with your friends, but just help us make this more possible. So I will see you in the next episode. In the meanwhile, I look forward to listening and chatting with you on social media. Reach out to me on Charukar or on Instagram, info at like Hearts to Hearts Project on Instagram, or drop us an email, and I'll see you soon. Bye.